Right now on the National Weather Desk, Nicole makes landfall.
Assessing damage, checking out the power lines as well. That is another concern.
Up and down Florida's coast, we have you covered.
Safest if you just stay home right now because the roads are not very safe.
We'll also see how people still in Nicole's path are getting ready for its arrival.
They're keeping an eye on beach erosion and making sure dunes are structurally sound.
Winter storms, heavy snow falls in the Rockies and Plains. Good news for the snowpack, but tough on visibility.
We've got this much snow, I can hardly see 10 feet in front of me.
Plus, tips to help you avoid a potentially deadly collision with a deer.
From our nation's capital, this is a special edition of the National Weather Desk. Tracking Nicole.
Good morning and welcome to the National Weather Desk. I'm meteorologist Veronica Johnson. Nicole made landfall overnight just south of Vero Beach, Florida, as a Category 1 hurricane. And it has since been downgraded to a tropical storm. The good news? So far, there have been no major reports of any damage or flooding. Water levels are high in some places. Right now, the winds appear to be the biggest issue. They are still sustained just around 60 miles per hour. And even before Nicole made landfall, its power took a toll on at least one building. This is from Daytona Beach shores, which took a hit from Hurricane Ian back in September. Those weakened buildings, they were collapsing yesterday afternoon with the storm surge and that rain that pounded the area. So here is the latest on the storm. A state of emergency has been declared in at least 45 of Florida's 67 counties. More than 175 customers in Florida now without power. Several airports, including West Palm Beach, Daytona Beach, and Orlando, are closed. Mandatory evacuations were posted for many coastal communities, including former President Trump's Mar-a-Lago club. Well, tornado watches have now been posted until 1 p.m. for portions of northeastern Florida and southeastern Georgia. In fact, if you take a look at the map here, I can show you exactly where. Jacksonville up toward Waycross and Brunswick in Georgia, and further south, just shy of Daytona Beach. And as that center of Nicole continues to weaken over land and head to the west, I do think we're going to see that tornado watch extended to include more western counties right across northern Florida. So here's the latest track. We'll watch it hug the coast, the Gulf Coast, and then maybe make a second landfall for the U.S. Again, quite unusual for this late in the season, but another landfall possible around Appalachia Bay. And then it's on further to the north and the northeast, pulling right into areas of the western Carolinas. And these are the areas, the mountainous areas, that could see probably the most rainfall, maybe upwards 2 inches or so of rainfall. And then on up into areas of D.C., Maryland, Virginia, and eventually New England. In fact, when you look at some of the rainfall, not the biggest issue compared to Ian. We'll see rainfall amounts on the order of 2 to 3 inches for areas of the southeast. Watch it move into areas of the Carolinas and eventually up into New England for Saturday. So Nicole here impacting so much of the East Coast, including New England. We've got team coverage this morning as we track Nicole in Florida. We have reporters all along the Florida coast. They're covering the impact from Nicole, from the strong winds to the heavy rain, even the flooding. We start with the conditions, what they look like overnight shortly before Nicole made landfall.
You can see the wind and the rain is definitely starting to pick up. Just take a look at these waves behind me. They are crashing into the pier with such force. I've personally never seen anything like this. And a lot of people are coming out just to see what these winds are doing to the waters and just to this area, just trying to see that storm. Now, further off in the distance, you can't really see it because there's not a lot of light over there, but one of those piers came crashing down into the water. The light pole directly in front of me also shaking every once in a while. It's a little nerve-wracking out here right now, but like I said, a lot of people are coming out to Sandsprit Park just to see what it's like out here because they want to see what a hurricane looks like. And we spoke to some people that are out-of-towners and had just moved here to Florida, and that makes up a lot of the residents in this area now. Like we mentioned earlier, we have a lot of people that came here from New York and other parts of the country, and this might be their first hurricane, so just to keep in mind, it's safest if you just stay home right now because the roads are not very safe.
This flooding here on Sewell's Point Road can be seen in both residential neighborhoods and parking lots for businesses. For example, I'm in a turn-in lane for a parking lot, and you can see this water comes all the way up past my feet, so it's all the way up here on my boots. My feet are submerged in water. And I want you to take a look just across the road over there at the Landing neighborhood. You can see the turn into that neighborhood is completely flooded with water, and over there is just a little deeper than what I'm standing in right now. And even if you take a look, that flooding continues all through the grass and all the way down the road. I'm Stephanie Valderrama here in Fort Pierce at the Melody Lane Fishing Pier, and these are the conditions that we're seeing. Really just waves crashing into the pier. Water is really rough at this hour. If we could turn all the way to the left now, I'm going to show you this bridge. It's probably going to be hard to see because it is a little far, but you might be able to make out some cars crossing over the bridge. Now, that bridge leads into one of the barrier islands here, which is Hutchinson Island. That bridge was closed overnight. It seems like they just reopened it, letting people across so they can finally head back to the barrier islands, get a better look to see any of the damage left behind by Hurricane Nicole. We are hearing from the local sheriff's office that they are driving by, assessing damage, checking out the power lines as well. That is another concern. And any of the street lights that they are anticipating might be out. Again, they're doing all of those assessments now that we have daylight.
Behind me is Acacia Road here in Vero Beach that has some extensive flooding a couple inches up off the ground. But it's not just this. If you take a look behind me, it actually goes for what appears to be a couple of football fields into that tree line with the Merrill P. Barber Bridge in the backdrop. This flooding continues to push on towards us here and has the potential to go up on these banks here, which could cause a problem for the neighboring park and baseball field here. The issues from Nicole still coming, even though Nicole appears to have already bought the worst of the storm. It appears that she's just not quite done with us yet. In Vero Beach, I'm Dylan Huberman reporting.
By tomorrow afternoon, the remnants of Nicole will be in South Carolina. Preparations for its arrival already underway. Let's go now to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, where Jenna Horazzo says the area is still grappling with the impact of September's severe weather.
Just 2 months ago, the Grand Strand was impacted by Hurricane Ian, damaging the Grand Strand's coastline. As for Nicole, people I spoke with are just securing outdoor items. Pawleys Island Police Chief Michael Fanning says they're keeping an eye on beach erosion and making sure dunes are structurally sound. Fanning says he's only gotten a handful of calls from concerned residents.
We've had a few phone calls about whether or not they should move their vehicles. We had about 60 cars or so that got heavily damaged during Hurricane Ian that had to get towed off the island. So, we regularly on our social media, we try to remind people not to drive through the flooded roads.
Fanning says crews in Pawleys Island are still working to clean up debris from Ian. Here you can see docks still floating out in the creek. A lot of those wood docks floated up and the wind just dislodged them, and some of them, the heavier ones, they just landed right in the middle of the creek. The ones with the gazebos on them, some of them are out there and they're overturned now, and so that's our next project after cleaning up everything on the beach right now. The U.S. Geological Survey predicts dunes in South Carolina will again see impacts from Hurricane Nicole. They forecast 55% of South Carolina's dunes are expected to face some level of erosion and predict around 15% of dunes to be overwashed.
Of all the places you want to ride out a storm, the last place you might think to stay is on a boat just as Nicole arrives. But that's exactly what one Florida family decided to do.
You'd be amazed how stable this boat is. It's not rocking, it's not moving around. They've got it solidly tied down. And Suzanne, I guess a lot of people might be wondering, well, gee, is it safe to be out here on a sailboat in a marina during a hurricane?
I think right now, I think it is. We've taken a lot of precautions and we feel pretty prepared. I mean, we're also prepared to leave if we have to, and we've talked about that and planned it out. But right now we feel safe on it. Yeah.
And coming up on the National Weather Desk, Florida is not the only place dealing with severe weather. We'll take you to parts of the country dealing with early snow. And it's deer season in many parts of the country. That could mean more dangerous conditions on the road. We'll talk with an expert about what you can do to stay safe. Hey, let's test your weather wit now. What's a buildup of broken river ice that can produce local floods? Is it grapple clog? Is it an ice jam, a cold front, or a hard freeze? The answer when we return.
I'm meteorologist Charlie Lopresti with a look at the Northeast. We have mild conditions returning to the Northeast today. Look at this, 60s make an appearance. That's improvement over yesterday. Now as we go into Friday, the remnants of Nicole will be surging north. Some of that rainfall first showing up in New York, New Jersey, and that overspreads parts of New England during the course of the day on Friday. Now the back edge of that rain moves out Saturday morning, and the trend will be for brighter skies, breezy conditions on Saturday, and temperatures look sneaky warm with highs near 70.
I'm meteorologist Jonathan Myers, and here's a look at the mid-Atlantic region. Starting off crisp and cool up and down the 95 corridor, 40s to around 50 degrees. A few clouds. Those clouds will thicken through the day, but warmer temperatures move in. High temperatures about 65 to 70 or so, but unfortunately still eyes on the next weather maker, Nicole, with lots of moisture in Florida. That's going to move its way up the coast, paired up with a cold front, maybe some heavy rain and even a little bit of wind Friday into early Saturday. That's the scene here.
Hi, meteorologist Jennifer Collins with a look at your southeast forecast. Nicole will continue to move across the southeast, producing heavy rainfall and strong winds across Florida for today, and then eventually spreading that storm threat across the Carolinas. It'll produce heavy rainfall moving up into the northeast, clearing things out by the weekend. And we'll see a cold front arriving by the end of the weekend. Could bring a few showers associated with it. For this afternoon, temperatures in the mid-70s along the Carolinas, in the mid-80s in South Florida.
Before the break, I asked you, what's the buildup of broken river ice that can produce local floods? I hope you got it. The answer, it's an ice jam. All right, let's move on now. We're going to check to see the weather in cities across the country today. We're going to start out here in Mount Pleasant, South Carolina, where they're under a tropical storm warning with the potential of some thunderstorms and heavy rain throughout the day. Temperatures expected to be right around 75 degrees. And now to a much calmer Covington, Kentucky, where there's some sunshine and a few clouds expected later today, and an afternoon temperature around 73 degrees. And next we'll head south to San Antonio, Texas, where you can see the skies are rather cloudy to mostly cloudy. There is a chance of some showers this afternoon and a high temperature in San Antonio of 83 degrees. And a look here at New Bedford, Mass, where they've got sunshine, temperature 65 degrees. On Saturday, even up there, New England, some rain from Nicole. Now to a part of the country that's under a blanket of snow. New numbers show Utah's snowpack is more than 4 times above normal for this time of the year. It certainly is welcome news for an area that's been impacted so greatly by drought. Let's go to Salt Lake City, where Danielle Woodruff explains.
Up Big Cottonwood Canyon, there's a lot of snow.
Ride snowboards.
It's what, November? I don't even know, but it's so early and we've got this much snow, I can hardly see 10 feet in front of me.
Skiers and hikers are thrilled. So is hydrologist Glenn Merrill with the National Weather Service.
How are we doing snowpack-wise?
Right now, for this time of year, we're doing phenomenally. Typically, we don't have this amount of snow and water stored in that snow until we get into the first or second week in December.
So we're a month and a half ahead.
We are.
New numbers from the U.S. Department of Agriculture show snowpack across Utah is hundreds, even thousands of % above normal. But Merrill says don't put too much stock in those numbers just yet.
This time of year, there's typically very little snow in our mountains.
So any snow is a big increase.
Any snow could be a big increase. Any dry period could be a very rapid decrease.
Merrill says we need consistent storms through the next few months to keep that snowpack growing. A drier spell is coming, he says, but with cooler temperatures also expected, it's not all bad news.
We won't lose the snow necessarily. We're just not going to be adding to that bank over the next couple of weeks.
An early present for a Nevada ski resort. It's about 2 months early. Several inches of snow fell at a local ski resort this week. Folks were really stoked about it, but learned it's still a little too soon to hit the slopes. Let's go to Las Vegas, where Ophelia Young has more.
9 inches at the top, to be exact, from a storm they usually don't get until January. But they need more for the trails to be safely ridden, which is why Lee Canyon staff turned away one visitor after another Wednesday.
We are closed. We are closed to uphill travel. Our trails are closed. There are unmarked hazards out here. We don't have ski patrol.
Those visitors went elsewhere.
The snow is really fun. Really fun. Very cold. Very cold and fun.
Oh! And a little further down here in Upper Lee Meadows, families cleared their schedule to play in the fresh powder.
How many times have you come up and down?
5 times already.
And?
It's beautiful. It's good. All the way to the bottom, you can see the rocks and the dirt.
Though visitors aren't welcome to Lee Canyon for now, the excitement is.
Definitely an increase in telephone and email volume and people asking questions of when we're going to open and about our season passes. And
it should be good. It's a little teaser for the year.
Does that make you guys go through your homework faster?
Yeah.
Some parts of the country were hammered with storms less than a week ago, and an incoming cold front sparked tornadoes in Texas, Oklahoma, and Arkansas. Let's go now to Little Rock, where meteorologist Todd Yacobian has more on this year's tornado count.
We just had an outbreak of tornadoes on Friday, November 4th. An outbreak that will probably go down in the history books. Now, where do we stand so far here in Arkansas for the year 2022 in terms of tornadoes? Remember, the average number of tornadoes, it's 37. And so far this year, we have had 11 EF0s and 20 EF1s. Nearly 84% of all our tornadoes so far this year have been either EF0s or EF1s. EF2s, a handful, 5 of them, and EF3s, just 1. So 37 total tornadoes so far this year, and that's exactly average. This is the way things look as far as this year is concerned. Again, we are at average in terms of tornadoes, 37. And November 4th, we had 14 total tornadoes, and that's the biggest November outbreak of tornadoes since late November 2005, 17 years ago. And out of any month of the year, it was the biggest overall tornado outbreak since April 2018. Now, we're still in that secondary severe weather season. We could still have severe weather, but we don't have any in the forecast. We hope it stays that way.
Deer-related auto accidents are on the rise this year in much of the country. Emily Gracie recently spoke to retired state trooper Bob Barris about what causes this and what to do if you find yourself face-to-face with a buck on the road.
Mating season is between October and November. We're still in the early stages of November. So that's why you're seeing a lot of deer. They move around in the early morning hours, and we're trying to get to work in the morning hours. So that's why you're seeing a lot of these collisions.
What can we do, first of all, to avoid hitting a deer? And what do you do if it's kind of unavoidable?
Deer are unpredictable. So when the deer do run out in front of you, you have to expect the unexpected, but never cross the center line to avoid a deer. Your chances of getting in the head-on collision are very good. And also running off the right side of the roadway. You can strike a fixed object, such as a tree, a fence, a pole. And your best defense in a collision is obviously wearing a seatbelt. So unfortunately, you want to strike the animal instead of striking a vehicle or a fixed object.
And if you hit a deer, should you call 911? Should you keep on moving along? What's the protocol?
All right. So, call 911. You want to report the collision, and you're going to need the report for the insurance company. And also, you could, in our area, you could take the deer home with you.
Interesting. What if the deer is not dead?
Well, the law enforcement will come out and either euthanize the deer or they'll let it run off. But normally when the deer gets hit, there's some sort of injury to it. And unfortunately, they'll have to put it down.
Do you have any tips on avoiding not only deer, but anything this time of year and just staying safe on the roadways?
It's fall, and a lot of people are out there looking at the leaves and stuff. You want to make sure you have a proper tire inflation in your tires. That not only prolongs the life of the tire, but gives you better handling, better gas mileage. And give a little more distance between you and the vehicle in front of you. Those leaves are just as slick as ice in some areas.
We love to show you beautiful areas of our country, and today we want to take you to the stunning rock formations of Moab, Utah.
Well, a very good Thursday morning, everyone. I'm meteorologist Andrew Buckmichael taking a look at your weather story across the Midwest. If you live in the Ohio Valley, get outside today and enjoy it. Rain's moving in with a strong cold front. Look at Bismarck, blizzard conditions for the day today. So let's move forward. That rain continues moving to the east. We've got rain in the Ohio Valley tomorrow, but look at how cold it's getting out across the plains for your Friday. And that cold air moves in for all of us by the time that we get to Saturday, only a high of 14 in Bismarck.
Good Thursday morning to you. I'm meteorologist Chris Uchan. Our forecast today across the region, starting off with some patchy clouds, Texas and Oklahoma, mild temperatures. Notice we head through the afternoon, and it's 70s and 80s for most of the region. Cold front coming in Oklahoma, the Texas Panhandle, a couple of showers, and the temperature drop, and that'll extend into Friday. Mid-30s in Oklahoma City. Showers and storms along the front heading to the Texas coast. Gusty north winds looking pretty raw for your Friday evening out on the town.
Well, hi there and happy Thursday morning to everybody. I'm meteorologist Shannon O'Donnell. Out west, chilly temperatures taking over as we head deeper into the month of November, especially over the Continental Divide and into western Montana. Missoula not even able to crack freezing today. And look at that really cold 25 out of Jackson Hole. 60s along the California coastline. In fact, a system pushing toward the west coast eventually brings some much needed rain later this week to the Golden State. And that's the scene from here.
Weather Window, presented by the National Weather Desk.
Winter's on the way, a refresh of some cold weather terms with Missouri meteorologist Matt Gunn.
Watch means conditions are favorable for winter precipitation to be an impact on people's commute, and an advisory means conditions are expected and you are advised to travel with caution. A warning means conditions are expected and you are advised to take action by limiting travel if possible.
For more content like this, follow the National Weather Desk on Twitter.
And wow, what a difference across the nation. You've got a landfalling hurricane, now a tropical storm in the east, and then you got the blizzard conditions up in the Midwest. So much going on. All right, now it's time to showcase some of the awesome content that we get from our viewers through Chime In. So let's start out in Utah, where the clouds shrouded the sunset at the Great Salt Lake. And back east, there was this rosy sunset north of Myrtle Beach, South Carolina here. The snapshot taken at Cherry Grove. That gap in the pier is damage that was sustained during Hurricane Ian. And we would love to share your weather content on air. You can find us on your favorite social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. Just search the National Weather Desk, and we'll be right back. Overnight, NASA launched the JPSS-2 into orbit. The JPSS-2 satellite expected to capture data to inform weather forecasts, helping meteorologists to predict extreme weather events. Hey, thanks for joining us. I'm meteorologist Veronica Johnson. Make it a great Thursday and keep an eye on the sky.